Welcome to this carecollab. The channels listed are those participating, and you'll find all links in the description below. Today's topic is Neofinetia or Vanda falcata, the Japanese wind orchid. We'll be looking at part of my collection and mostly growing possibilities. I'm not going to talk a lot about care because I just did a video on that topic a short time ago. It's in my Neofinetia playlist and I will link to it at the end. Neofinetia falcata was the first ever orchid I bought and unfortunately also killed. It's always been a huge favorite of mine, and since the beginning I always had at least one plant in my collection, and that's for almost 40 years now. In nature it can be found growing on trees or rocks, but never in full sun. It naturally occurs in southern and eastern China, Korea and the Japanese Isles. It's also an orchid with huge history in cultivation. For one, together with Cymbidium goringi, it was mentioned in one of the first scripts on growing orchids in captivity in China. This scripture was written around 600 AD. It describes how to grow these plants in pots and how to care for them. However, the real breakthrough for Neofinetia came in the 18th century when the shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu found this orchid so precious and made the species the icon it is today. He sent out his warriors to find and collect several different varieties occurring in nature, and they were grown in the typical moss mound we still know today. And when visitors came to appreciate them, the plants were covered with gilded cages, so no harm could come to them. Over time, this obsession became less and less, but the collecting and growing went on. And in 1920, the All Japanese Fukiran Society was formed. And it's due to these people that these special orchids are still around and in cultivation. For Neofinetia, or Fukiran, meaning the rich and noble orchid, the whole plant is appreciated. The leaves, the leaf axils, roots, root tips, flowers and their shapes, just everything. And for the Japanese, this plant is to be appreciated 365 days a year. Most of the varieties I grow are potted up in the Japanese way in mounds of sphagnum moss. And if you're interested in seeing how that goes, I refer to my video Neofinetia falcata Care Made Easy. It can be grown in and on many different things or potting media. It's a very easy species to grow if you just follow a few rules. They come in very different sizes and shapes, from very small to quite large, meaning the variety Amami Giant has leaves that get over 20 centimeters or 8 inch long, while, for instance, my Seruishi has thin needle-shaped leaves only 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch long. Over the years, Japan has produced over 1600 different varieties, and on top of that, the last 10 years, South Korea has produced several more. Both countries have their registry, and all good and stable varieties are registered. In Japan, there's even a list published every year by the Japanese Fukiran Society that lists only all top varieties and is called the Meikan. There are two types of variegation of the leaves, the Shima and the Fukurin. The Shima variegation shows whitish or yellow blotches on the leaves, while the Fukiran variegation has marginal variegation in yellow or almost white around the edges of the leaves. In my opinion, the tiger variegated or blotched-leaved variegated plants are way more easy to grow. However, the blotching and marking can be influenced by light and temperature, so in order to get a good variegation, you need to find the right balance. There are also a few varieties that produce red markings or even almost red leaves, often in combination with the yellow tiger variegation. I grow my Neofinetia in many different ways. The traditional kokodama, on rocks, concrete or resin figurines, even on glass. These are really not difficult orchids to grow if you follow a few very important rules. First off, I could shoot these idiots that changed their name into Vanda, because this tricks people into thinking these are warm growing orchids. They are not. They can take high temperatures for a short time, but they are in fact cool to even cold to intermediate growers. They hate full sun and they will burn to a crisp if they are kept at high temperatures and high light. So keep them shaded and in a very airy position. When I say airy, I don't mean a closed grow room with fans turning day and night. No, you can grow them in the house, in the grow room, wherever you want, but they need fresh air, just like most all orchids. These plants love moisture, but they hate staying wet all the time. In addition, most grow rooms where no windows are opened do get circulating air, but it isn't changed, so all pathogens just fly from one plant to the other. And this means you can spread fungus spores in a few minutes. Let air circulate, but bring in fresh air. That's why I love to grow my orchids outdoors whenever possible, even when I live in northern Belgium in Europe, where our temperatures can go very low. I show you later my protected small growing area outside, where I keep all my Neofinetia for most of the year and sometimes even all year round, and it's just a covered open space. Last winter they took temperatures to -10 degrees Celsius. They can handle this when kept on the dry side. So in winter, when it gets colder, I water very sparsely so the plants get what I need, but they can't freeze. In Japan, they can even take short periods of being covered in snow without any problem. Another important thing is that these orchids need a cooling down period to get them to flower. Now this year it has been very cold until late spring, so only now my plants are starting to form flower spikes. It's a pity, but I can only show you a few blooms. There are many naturally occurring variations, both in flower color, leaf shape and variegation, but several are hybrids crossed back to Neofinetia to look and grow like the natural plant. All the deep colored, purple and yellow flowered forms are hybrids, and the only naturally occurring yellow Neofinetia, which is more of a creamy yellow, is the variety Zuyin. So here's my outdoor protected growing area. As you can see, most plants are in a rack, especially made for my Neofinetia and Dendrobium moniliforme. Both species require the same care. My outdoor growing area is open on two sides, only closed with some bird mesh. This I had to do because birds came in stealing my potting materials, pulling plants out, and that's something I just didn't want. The whole thing is facing to the south side, but protected by the shed that's in front of it. Unless the rain blows in from the sides, no rain can come in. The wind has free range and can blow around the orchids. This way I'm assured that after watering or misting, the orchids dry up in a short time. And did you know that there are actually 3 different species of Neofinetia? Another reason why I refuse to call it Vanda. And just one more thing, why I love Neofinetia falcata is the fragrance. Especially on cooler days, and certainly in the evening and at night, they give off a lovely floral but somewhat sweet fragrance, and just one plant can fill up with this soft scent. It's just wonderful. Here's my biggest composition at the moment. I call it Chisana Kyushu, meaning Little Kyushu, and Kyushu is a volcanic island in southern Japan. It's a combination of a bigger and a smaller handmade Japanese moon bowl that looks a bit like lava. The big dish is planted with several Neofinetia falcata variety Hisoi, which has green flowers, and the small one is planted with the variety Shutono, which has pink flowers, and both occur naturally in the wilds of Japan. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you're welcome to like and subscribe to my channel. Anyway, I hope to see you next time.